In a recent discussion about the MCU, one of my friends responded to my critique of the franchise by insisting that I was missing the point. That these films aren't meant to be the pinnacle of writing or filmmaking. The point of these films, she says, was the sheer entertainment value, with cool stuff happening left, right and centre. I thought this point was intriguing, and it gave me pause to think about the so-called rule of cool. For those unaware, the rule of cool is a trope connected with suspension of disbelief, in that people will forgive something that breaks the in-world rules or lacks consistency because it's cool. This can range from characters negating fire damage in video games, ignoring the rules of gravity in action movies, or simply changing the laws of physics to achieve something currently impossible in sci-fi. It's easily used to justify breaches in logical consistency within a story because it's just too cool not to be included in the narrative, and the pleasure it gives our audience is better than maintaining purist logic. Often these breaches occur at the practical level too. John Wick doesn't need to ride a horse. He could have used a bike or a car, but Keanu shooting guns on a horse is much cooler for most people. However, for many, the rule of cool is simply an excuse for fans to explain away the poor quality of writing and to protect creators they like. Critics say that enabling the rule of cool lets creators get off the hook, and it's perfectly reasonable to expect things to be both logical and cool at the same time. There are countless examples that prove this. The other glaring issue here is that what is considered cool is very subjective and can veer very closely to the ridiculous. If you're going to take a chance then, a lot depends on execution, and the result does actually have to be cool, or it's just unbelievable outright. I'm sure my friend and others would dispute these critiques. Donald Belisario waved away lots of comments concerning Quantum Leap and argued that the point of the story is the story itself. That a creator's job is not to get bogged down in every little detail, but to tell a gripping and entertaining narrative. The problem is, it's not just the little details that are being supplanted by coolness in the MCU, but entire stories, narratives, in-world consistency, and character development. These crucial elements are being replaced to create more moments that look epic in a trailer. So, when writing, how can we use the rule of cool to our advantage? Well, firstly, you need to establish why you're bending this rule. If the justification can be explained using in-context and valid reasoning, that it might be able to exist within your story, then it's fine. Gandalf's fall with the Balrog in the Two Towers certainly bends some rules, but because of magic existing in the world and the possibility for different geography to exist from our own, we can look past it and just appreciate the coolness and weight of the moment. Secondly, you can use the rule of cool to enhance moments within your story, because why wouldn't you want them to be cooler? Instead of the hero using guns to fight vampires, Blade uses swords and stakes, which are much, much cooler and allows for more extended action sequences. It's cooler for Katniss to use a bow than a crossbow or a gun, and it's cooler for heroes not to look at explosions as they walk away. These things might be slightly impractical, but the awe factor balances out those imperfections without breaking the rules. Really, it also depends on the genre that you're writing. The more serious your story is, the less space you have for the rule of cool to be employed reliably. You can be cool in serious things, but more casual or less serious stories offer a lot more flexibility in terms of what the audience is willing to tolerate. As the John Wick series progressed, the escapades and actions have turned away from the serious roots that had a sprinkling of the rule of cool, to the ridiculous and outlandish at the expense of any tension or seriousness. The result is just another shoot-'em-up series with good production values and cool stunts, but without much substance behind it, because the entire film is just suspension of disbelief now. So, to return to my friend's argument then, that is very much how I feel about the MCU. Yes, the rule of cool is fine, and can work when the outcome is actually a cool moment that doesn't ruin the story, like Tony's first Iron Man suit. But the latest Marvel films are so awash with moments the writer might consider cool that none of them stand out anymore. The substance and drama is drowned out amongst a myriad of CGI stunts and colours. Rather than being a 2 hours of well-constructed narrative that contain a sprinkling of cool moments, the films have become 2 hours of well-constructed coolness, but with very, very little narrative to speak of whatsoever.